I mean, just look at that. You can tell they're gonna be so crispy, just listen to that. Yo, what up guys? It's your boy BP Ham, and today we're making one of my most favorite Korean street foods called Gimmari. Basically what it is a deep fried seaweed roll which you stuff with some seasoned glass noodles, fried up, and it's so good, so crunchy. And if you dip it with some Tteokbokki or even some soy sauce, one of life's greatest pleasures. I first had this when I traveled to Korea a couple years ago and went to a night market, and they had like lines of fried food everywhere, and this was by far my favorite thing, and I had to come back and learn how to make it. So really excited to share this one with you guys, which I feel like I say in every video, but it's always exciting. So let's get cooking. For this recipe, you're gonna need vegetable oil, flour, sugar, baking powder, potato starch, sweet potato or glass noodles, soy sauce, sesame oil, seaweed sheets or nori, salt and pepper, an egg, and carrot and green onion. To start the Gimmari, you're gonna need to boil some water on the stove because you got to boil the potato noodles. So these are sweet potato noodles. This is a, I believe, 12-ounce pack. Yeah, 12-ounce pack. I'm gonna use half this pack because I like a lot of noodles in mine. So about 6 ounces. You're just gonna boil in here to the package instructions. And for Asian noodles, you don't really need to salt the water or anything like that. So just put it straight in and then put the timer on. This specific pack says to boil for 10 minutes. So I'm just going to put that in and boil it for 10 minutes. All right, so it doesn't have to be perfectly measured. I just like split it in half like so. And then I'm gonna put half of this into the pot. So just put that straight in there. Get yourself a pair of chopsticks and just put it all the way in, and then just stir it around just a little bit so that it doesn't stick. And then cook this for 10 minutes. So our noodles have been boiling for 10 minutes. I'm gonna take them over to the drain and rinse them off. Drain those out. You can see they're clear when you cook them. And then with these noodles, what you're gonna wanna do is run them under cold water so they don't stick to each other. Once they kind of been cooled, you can get your hands and split them up. And then just drain them. And then you can work with them with your hands from here. So you just wanna split those noodles up a little bit and cool them down. And then just let them dry off. We're gonna prepare the noodles that we're gonna stuff inside of the seaweed. And what we're gonna do is get a carrot and a green onion just for some color. Usually you use chive, but chive was $7 for like a small bunch at my grocery store. So I was like, not doing that. So we're replacing that with green onion because it's green. We're not gonna need this whole thing, just some of it. So just cut this into matchsticks. I peeled and cleaned this carrot already. So just cut this into slices first. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then I just line them up on top of each other. And then I just cut matchsticks. Be really careful here. I'm sure there's a more efficient way to do this, but my knife skills are not the best. I think some people like line them up and then just chop them like this. And again, this is just for color. You don't really taste the carrot, at least in my opinion, but gives it a nice look on the inside instead of just like this potato noodle. I think this is enough. And then I get my one green onion and I'm just gonna dice this. You can matchstick this up as well, but that's just too much work for me. So I'm just gonna give this a fine dice. I'm gonna add one more green onion just because it doesn't look like that much. So we got all that cut up. Gonna put that to the side for a second. We got our dried noodles here. What I like to do is just get a paper towel and make sure they're extra dry. You don't have to do this, but I like how it makes them more sticky and it helps it stick to the rice paper, the seaweed paper. You can leave them like this, but I also like to cut them up a little bit to make them more manageable. There are these really long strands, so they kind of just like pull up all together. So I'm just gonna cut them up with some scissors in this bowl. Doesn't have to be very precise, just make some cuts in there. And then they become more usable when you are folding the seaweed. I think the key to a great dish is that all your layers are seasoned. So we're gonna season our noodles before we wrap them up in the seaweed. What we got here, we got 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. 1, 2, 1 teaspoon of sesame oil, a staple Korean ingredient. I always do that. I should do the dry first. 1 teaspoon of sugar. And 1 teaspoon of salt. I got kosher salt here. Finish it off with some cracks of black pepper. And then toss in those vegetables that you just previously cut. No wasting. Grab yourself some tongs and just mix all of that together. You see how it was so plain without the vegetables, and then when you add in the vegetables, it just looks so much more vibrant. And these noodles are really sticky, so make sure you get a good mixing in there so it gets coated all the way through. I think we're good there, and everything's cooked in here, so you can just give it like a taste test. And if it's tasting good to you, you can move on, or you can add in whatever you want. Some more soy sauce if you want it more salty, sugar if you want it more sweet, etc. But I think it's good to go. Next, we're gonna roll it all up into some seaweed paper. This is not the easiest thing to do, but it's gonna be okay. After some practice, you're gonna get it. So we're gonna use about 6 nori sheets or seaweed papers. And what I like to do is get them and cut them in half so we can use less sheets. But if you've never done this before, you can use a whole sheet. It kind of makes it easier because if it breaks, you can just keep rolling it. But your end product's gonna be a little thicker. It's not gonna be a big deal. I've done that before and it tastes really good, so you'll be okay. And when you cut them, make sure you cut them on the long ways. One of these sides is longer than the other, so just make sure you're cutting them on the hot dog way, or that's, you know, what they called it in school. And if you don't have scissors, you can also just break them in the center. What you're gonna do is get one of these seaweed papers. You're gonna lay it flat on your cutting board or whatever. I like to have the shiny side up, so put the rough side down. And then you're just gonna get some of your noodles and lay them across long ways. So just grab your hands. If you don't use your hands, I mean, you can get something else, but I feel like that's a waste. And don't overfill these. That used to be my problem. I would overfill it and it would just like explode. And what I like to do is keep it not so close to the edge, because if you put it all the way to the edge, once you wrap it, it's gonna like spurt out the side. So I like to keep it kind of contained, leave some room on the side. And then what I do is take my back 2 fingers and I take my front 3 and I pull up and roll the noodles in while I'm rolling it over. And then once we're here, I move all my fingers except for my thumbs and I just tuck the noodles in here and then just keep on rolling. And it should stick to itself basically, but I like to get some water. So I just have a bowl of water here and then spread it across the edge and then just roll it all the way through. Put that off to the side while you continue rolling the rest. I usually get about 12 rolls, but if you have more or less, it's gonna be okay. So I'm gonna do this again from the front angle. You can see there's one rough side and one shiny side. I'm gonna put the rough side down in the center of my cutting board. Grab my noodles, spread them across, making sure to get some of those veggies in there. Leaving a little bit of space on the side because when you cut them, they kind of expand a little or spurt out. Grab the back with my 2 fingers, get my thumb, push in the rest here, roll it over. Once we get here, I move my fingers to the front, pull it back in, and just make sure that's nice and taut. Grab me some water, place it on the edge. And some of these sticky noodles kind of spurt up, helps kind of seal it as well. And then just roll it over while keeping all of that tucked in. Give it a nice little pat there. And you got yourself your roll. Easy peasy. We got all those wrapped up. I made 7 sheets. Probably 6 would have been best because I was running out towards the end and just kind of like trying to fill in the amount of sheets I could. So 6 sheets if you like make them more equal. Now you cut these up into like 2 to 3 inches size, depending on how big you like them. You can do fourths or thirds or halves. I like to do thirds. I'm going to line up my knife and just eyeball it. And before you cut it, you want to make sure your knife is sharp, because wet seaweed is not the easiest to cut through. So cut straight through there. And you got yourself thirds. So this is what it looks like inside of there. Nice little roll. We're gonna batter this up and fry it. Got our rolls cut, now we're gonna make the batter. While we're preparing the batter, make sure that you preheat some vegetable oil on the stovetop in a skillet from 1 to 2 inches so that we can just get right into frying once we finish the batter. To make the batter, you're gonna use equal parts potato starch and all-purpose flour. The all-purpose flour acts as a base binding, and the potato starch really helps crisp it up because it's light and fluffy. You can get potato starch at any Asian grocery store, probably some American grocery stores. We're gonna add in 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. That potato starch comes in a separate bag. Going to grab a Ziploc bag just so I don't spill it everywhere, because I know myself. And make sure when you're measuring, you fluff it up so it's not so compact. And get about 1/3 cup of potato starch. Just a small pinch or 1/8 teaspoon of baking powder. Add some lift, and then 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. We always salt in our food. To this batter, add in 1 egg and 1/2 cup of water. Pouring that straight in there. Mix that all around. Get everything well incorporated. And really, if you have another type of frying batter you like to use, and you don't want to mess with the potato starch, you can use your own thing. It just might not be as light without that potato starch. And you probably can use cornstarch as a substitute as well. Going to switch to a whisk, which I should have just started with. That's it, that's our batter. And now we're gonna fry. Frying is really delicate and can be dangerous, so make sure you have everything prepared before you start frying. So we have our oil preheating, we have our batter, we have our Gimmari, and then we have like a bowl lined with some paper towels for when it's done frying. The secret to this is a double fry. They're gonna be extra crispy and stay crispy, because if you kind of don't double fry these, they get a little soggy. And then when you eat them, they're not as crisp as they can be. So I also got a little spider here for picking them up out when we're done. I use a thermometer to make sure that my oil is around 350 to 360. You can use like the back of a wooden utensil, put it in, and if it kind of bubbles around, you know it's ready. But I like to be more exact with a thermometer. You want to make sure your oil is hot enough, because if not, whatever you're frying is going to soak in more oil and just be more oily, and you're not going to like that. You're just going to take your seaweed rolls and put them into the batter. I'm going to do a few at a time. Roll them around with some chopstick or something like that. Make sure they're thoroughly coated in there. As you can see, we put in the rolls and then just rolled them around so that they're evenly coated. And now we're gonna place this gently in the frying oil and place it away from your body so it doesn't splatter in your face. And let it come in, and then pull it up a little, because sometimes it sticks to the bottom of the pan. Make sure you spread them out so they don't stick to each other. Give these like 2 or 3 minutes. And all these little bits on the side, I just like to pull up and take out so they don't burn. Make sure you keep your temperature at a medium heat because when you do put stuff into the oil, the temperature immediately drops, so you want to make sure that it stays high. While this is going, I'm just going to coat some more. We're just looking for a little slightly golden color because we're going to double fry these. We're good here. I'm going to pull them out. Make sure you get all that excess oil out of there and then just toss them into your bowl. And if you're serving them immediately, you could serve them like this, just as is. But since it takes a while to fry, I like to double fry them. Clear your pan. And just do it again. Oh, oops, be careful. See, I grab it, pull it in, push it down, pull it up. And you'll notice that your chopsticks get kind of gross when you're like pulling them in and out. So I like to have a paper towel and just clean them off every so often. So you can see them just frying up in there. Just toss them around every so often. And just control your heat. If you think it's too hot, turn it down. If it's too cold, turn it up. Just finishing off the last batch. And I would say if you're new to frying or afraid of frying, this would be a great start because everything in here is already cooked and they don't make that much splatter or anything. I know with like chicken, you're always worried if like the inside is going to be cooked, but with these, you already know that everything inside is cooked, so it makes it a little bit less stressful. I'm going to clean out that oil and get ready for the double fry. So with the double fry, we're just going to toss them all back in there. You don't really need to do it in batches because they're all already fried and they won't stick together or anything like that. So you want these to come a little bit to room temp and then we're going to stick them back in there. They brown up really quickly, so just make sure you watch them closely. And trust me guys, a double fry ensures that these are going to be so crispy. When you bite into them, you're going to get that crunch. You're in for a treat. Now I'm going to put these back into the oil and fry them up for probably just 1 minute. So you got them all in there, just stir them around, and you see they're already browning up, so just watch them closely. And I just kept one out because look how flimsy this one already is, and you can tell it's not going to be as crunchy. Double frying will help with that. Look at those, taking on a nice color. These are almost done. I'm going to give them probably about 20 to 30 more seconds. You can tell they're going to be so crispy, just listen to that. All right, these went for about 1.5 minutes. I'm going to now take them all out and drain them. Turn that heat off. Make sure to drain off that excess oil. Nice, we're going to clean up and dig in. I mean, honestly, just look at that. You can just hear how crispy they are. I mean, just look at that. Oh. All right, now we're ready to taste test. We're just gonna use soy sauce today, but I love making tteokbokki, which is spicy rice cakes, and dipping it in that red sauce. Oh, it's so good. But yeah, let's try this. We got some soy sauce. You can like use whatever sauce you want, I guess. Even tempura sauce if you have any, so. You hear that crunch? And just the warm noodles, the contrast of the crispy exterior and the noodles on the inside. Oh, this is my favorite Korean street food. Like, If you guys ever seen those Korean street food videos on YouTube and you've been dying to try these out, I mean, it's pretty simple. The ingredients are not too many. If you guys do try these out, leave a comment below on how they turned out. But that's it for today, guys. If you like this video and want more like it, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Give this video a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.